It is my opinion that C-suite executives should wear a watch that reflects their position, their authority, the respect they deserve holding that position. With me today, I brought in Marco Ferrante to see if I'm on point and if these watches actually match the positions that we're going to be talking about. Marco, how's it going today?
Doing well. How are you, Avi?
Great. I wanted to see if you're going to agree or disagree, or if you have other recommendations for, I have the CEO, I have the CTO, and I have the CFO. So 3 top executive positions. And the watches that I picked my own personal preference for these positions. You could have better recommendations. You could have worse recommendations. Yeah. But these are watches that I thought fit due to either the respect that the watch itself deserves, the function of the watch, the look of the watch, and how it fits well with a person in that position. Let's talk about the CEO. This is the chief. This is the head of the company. This is the top ranking officer in every corporation. And there are watches that I feel best fit that role. This position obviously exudes power, responsibility. You are responsible for everybody that's working with you. You're responsible for the success or the failure of the company, and obviously leadership. So the 3 watches that I chose for the CEO position, the first one is, to me, I feel like it's by default. It's the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. You know, standard Royal Oak, not an offshore, but a standard Royal Oak. I'm not going to go into the reference 15500, 15400, 15300. I don't care. Just the Royal Oak. I do feel like simpler is better there, whether you go black dial, silver dial, white dial. The watch itself is obviously iconic.
Genta design. I would say even I would go a step further than picking a Royal Oak. I would say a Royal Oak Jumbo. One that the original design by Gerald Genta, or the one that's inspired by the original design by Gerald Genta, because it's just it's instantly recognizable, right? Everyone knows what anybody who knows watches knows what that is. They instantly commands respect. I think a Royal Oak Jumbo is the CEO watch.
Now, what makes the Jumbo different than any other Royal Oak that?
Yeah, so Jumbo is distinguished, one, by its 39 millimeter case size. It's a time and date only, so there's no actual seconds hand. Now, previous to the 16202, which is now an in-house movement, they were all powered by the JLC 920 movement. Now with the new 16202, they have an in-house movement, which fixed the quick set date function, essentially, because everything before that you had to wind from 10 to 2, or you had to physically go around the actual watch. So a little slight upgrades, but I'd say Royal Oak Jumbo is the CEO watch.
Any reason you would choose a 39 millimeter over a 41?
Not necessarily. It's just historically more appropriate. That's what the original design was. I just like the idea of a jumbo because, again, it's like, one, it's called a jumbo, right? It has, it just has authority. It commands authority. I like that pick.
So obviously the watch itself is handcrafted. It's beautiful. It's the quality of the craftsmanship is amazing, which to me just, is ideal for somebody in a position of power.
Yeah.
The watch is versatile, so you could wear it to the boardroom. You could wear it to the golf game. You could wear it to dinner. Weekends, doesn't really matter. It is a comfortable watch to wear. It's not something have you ever put on a pair of jeans or a suit to go somewhere and you're like, oh, I can't wait to get out of this.
Yeah.
This is not a watch like that.
Not at all.
And obviously the watch itself is prestigious, which is the same as the position.
Yeah, it's instantly recognizable, right? It commands respect. It commands, essentially, it's perfect because it's like a statement, and being in a position of power of sorts, you want to command authority and have authority.
And when you walk into a room, when you walk into a meeting, people that glance at the watch right away know who you are, what you are, and the respect that you deserve, The second watch that I chose was the Patek Philippe 5205G.
Interesting. I like it. I mean, listen, it's not... So when I think about a CEO watch, right, I want something that's recognizable, that commands authority. A 5205G, I think it's absolutely beautiful, right? From the sculpted case, obviously it's an annual calendar with a moon phase complication. I love the watch itself. I don't know if I would get it specifically for a CEO position, because an annual calendar is not the most prestigious complication. I think something like maybe a world time complication that can track different times in different cities is maybe a slightly better option. I would even say a manual wind chronograph, perpetual calendar chronograph. Those are a little bit more prestigious, but I do like the pick. It's a beautiful watch.
So for functionality wise, I thought, okay, a CEO doesn't really need a chronograph. They're not timing any laps or anything.
Yeah.
Typically, you would assume that a CEO, yes, maybe they travel, but being the head of the company, also means you have to be around. Like I feel, again, this is all opinion. I could be completely wrong, and I hope that our viewers and our listeners correct me if I'm wrong. But I feel like the CEO doesn't travel as much as other executives because they have to be at the head of the helm. They have to be there. They have to be, present. So I kind of thought, okay, what is a watch that portrays that role? And you're right, there are much more beautiful. And I would actually ask you to pick one that you think is better fitting for a CEO.
Yeah, I think actually a World Time, a Patek Philippe World Time would be perfect. They're the ones who did it originally in a wristwatch. VC were the first to do it in a pocket watch with the Louis Cartier system. So I think it makes sense because, again, if you're a CEO, let's say you run a company that's international, it has some kind of international brand, you're going to want to track some different time zone.
Yeah.
And World Time does that the most effectively. It's super quick.
Now, is that the one with the enamel dial?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
You can get one with an enamel dial if you're going 5231 or the new. Even you can go back 5131. I think is a great value. So yeah, there's a lot of great options from Patek.
So the reason I chose this was obviously the classic design of the watch itself. It's instantly recognizable. Not now again, the model itself might not be, but the Patek Philippe brand is recognizable.
Yeah, no doubt.
The craftsmanship is obviously there. So that's on par. It is practical. It's got the calendar display that shows the day, date, month. So I was like, okay, what is something that's necessary? Now, sure, the moon phase is not necessary for really anybody.
Yeah.
CEO or not. The power reserve indicator, I don't know about necessary, but the look of it is really cool. It's also a comfortable watch. And again, you go back down to the fact that it is a very prestigious watch.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Which to me just kind of says CEO or man of power or woman of power, it's a power position.
Commands respect. Yeah.
Now, the third watch I chose for this position was the Rolex Day-Date 228206 Platinum. Obviously, the Day-Date has been called the presidential, however people refer to it, which is also position of power. What I do like about this one particularly is that it's discreet. People don't need to know that is a platinum watch.
Yeah.
I remember we sold a watch to I want to say the CEO of one of the largest credit card companies. He bought a platinum Day-Date. Yeah, platinum Day-Date with, it was the green dial and the smooth bezel. And the reason that he bought that one is because he actually said he was trading in a blue one with the Jubilee? Yeah. Not Jubilee. What's the name of the bezel?
Fluted bezel.
The fluted bezel. There you go. Sorry. So he was trading that in because he thought that was more attention grabbing. Mm-hmm. He said he could pass off the platinum one as stainless steel, and if people ever were wondering about it, he'd be like, oh yeah, just a cheap Rolex.
Yeah.
It's a humble flex.
It makes sense, right? I like the pick in the sense that it can easily pass off as just like a regular steel watch. The reason it's obviously called the president is because of the bracelet, right? And to those who know, it's instantly recognizable. Everyone knows what a presidential bracelet looks like from afar. If you're into watches, it's so distinct, right? It's like a Jubilee bracelet also from Rolex. So distinct. I love the pick. Honestly, I would keep it. I think it's a phenomenal pick. I would say also something like, when I think of CEO too, I think it's kind of a man of mystery. You know what I mean? Maybe some kind of interesting complication, like a tourbillon of kind. You can get into so many different brands to make a nice tourbillon. But yeah, I think something like a high level complication makes sense also. But I do like the Day-Date pick.
It's funny because I imagine would you ever see a CEO of a non-watch related company wearing a Jacob & Co.? No, it's unlikely. You have to. This is a problem that a lot of companies have where you have people that work for you. You have executives, that are in a hierarchy beneath you. Yeah. And they look at you and they're like, oh, I'm working my ass off. I'm making this guy so much money. Look at the watches that he's buying. You ever seen that meme? If you work hard, for your entire life, I'll be able to buy another Lamborghini.
Yeah.
So it reminds me of that. That's why I kind of wanted to keep him a little bit humble in a way. The watch is obviously comfortable, except for its weight. It is a heavier watch.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You feel it on wrist, right? You certainly, after a day of wearing a full platinum watch, you're gonna feel it. And I think it's not a bad thing, right? I personally like when I can feel a watch on wrist. If a watch is too light, even, it's almost like there's this psychological effect it has, like as if I don't think it's as well made, right?
Yeah.
And it's so weird. It's even you look at a Rolex watch. There's something about the heft of a Rolex watch that you just instantly think it's quality, right?
Yes.
And you almost don't get that with almost any other brand. It's pretty crazy when you think about it. So yeah, just the weight of the watch itself is very reassuring. It feels like quality, and it certainly adds to the presence of the watch.
And the presence of the person wearing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The second position that I went for was the CTO, the Chief Technology Officer. This person is responsible for overseeing the entire technological strategy of the company, both the technology side of it and the business side of it. It's now again, if you research this, it's a position that's befitting someone with a passion for technology.
Yeah.
Someone
Who's
that's
innovative,
correct.
thinks outside the box. That
100%. Like this person has to be strategic thinking, but also have leadership skills. You're running, a part of the company that the rest of the company relies on. Think about it here. Like we actually don't have a CTO. We could definitely use one. We're constantly dealing with technological issues, that would be nice to have somebody, other than just like a 16-year-old tech guy come in and fix. Yeah. 3 watches that I chose for this person. Now, again, personal, opinion, chosen because of whether it's the functionality or the look, the feel. First one was the Rolex Milgauss. For some reason, now again, I it's the anti-magnetic, properties are connected in my mind to technology.
No, you're absolutely correct. So the Rolex Milgauss originally was developed for CERN scientists. So it makes sense even just for the position itself, right? It's an innovative watch for the time. So what the Milgauss was, for those who don't know, it's called Milgauss. It's actually French. So originally it was the movement was inside of an iron cage, and it could withstand essentially magnetism up to, I think it's 1,000. I forget what the unit measurement is, but
Gauss.
1,000 Gauss. Yeah, exactly. So Milgauss is 1,000. Mil being obviously in French. 1,000, and then Gauss being the unit of measurement. And
again, no CTO ever uses Gauss as a measurement, but but the watch itself is just iconic for that whole innovative,
But it's also, what's great about the Milgauss is it's very, when I think about a CTO, I think somebody quirky. He's a little bit, again, thinks outside the box.
Yes.
Everything about the Rolex Milgauss is different, right? Especially if you're talking like a Z Blue. They've never done a dial like that. The GV glass with the lightning bolt 10. Everything is so striking and different. It's so outside of the norm for Rolex. I think it's perfect for this position.
Yeah. So obviously you have the precision timekeeping. You have the durability of the watch. It's comfortable. It has a history behind it. And it's still prestigious for that position. Now, sure, it might not be as prestigious as some of the ones for the CEO, but if you're in this position, you probably should not have a watch better than...
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's as much as it's still an expensive watch, right?
Yes.
There's no way around it. You're going to be paying at least probably about $10,000 for a Rolex Milgauss if you're going to get a modern reference, 116-400. So yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, listen, there's no question. We can get desensitized to watch value, but $10,000 is still a lot of money.
It's still a lot of money, correct. Yeah. Next one that I chose, and again, this one's questionable, is the Panerai Luminor. I don't know about this. I told you it's questionable. Now, the reason that I chose this one specifically is it projects an image of strength and competence, and I'm picturing The Rock wearing a Panerai. Do you know what I mean? Also, when you think about a CTO, it's probably somebody that, like you said, is a little bit quirky. Maybe I think this is somebody that likes outdoor activities, that likes, to like not arts and crafts, I'm sorry, maybe like woodworking or just going out hiking and building fucking like little cabins and shit. Like, could be completely off. This could be like a guy that just watches or reads comic books, all day long. But this is my view of a CTO.
Yeah. So honestly, right away, when I thought CTO, there's 2 watches that kind of popped in my mind. Again, going back to like that quirky, crazy design. The first was MBNF, I would say a Legacy Machine Perpetual. Now, it's totally out there because of the fact that the watch itself is, I mean, it's definitely probably going to one-up almost everybody in the room, right? It's like a head.
It's funny because that's my third one.
I mean, I guess great minds think alike. But the other one I was thinking of, I think that's a perfect pick. The next one would be a Constant Chaikin Joker watch. There's something about that that's quirky. It's cool.
It's too quirky.
I think it'd be cool. Honestly,
that would be a great conversation starter.
Yes.
I think that like if I was a salesperson, for example, that's a watch I would wear because that's a conversation starter.
You know what? That's actually probably a better idea. Yeah. No, I actually agree.
Yeah, because you want something like if you're just like out at a bar or a networking event. People see this and be like, whoa, what is that on your wrist? You know, like.
But again, even even tying back to the CEO, when you think chief technology officer, I'd want something, again, a little interesting, right? I wouldn't say chronograph, it doesn't make sense for the position, but something like a tourbillon, something that's visually interesting, that's a little technical. It wouldn't make sense for the position.
What else would obviously there's really cool tourbillons. Like, what are the watches with the multiple tourbillons like that?
Oh, like a brigade double turb.
Yeah, I mean, that, those can get, there was the one with like the double axis, like triple axis.
Yeah, those Purnell triple, there's even JLC.
Yeah, those are cool.
Those are
and those are also conversation starters.
But those are expensive. Yes. We're talking like multiple hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, I don't know if that's befitting and again, CTO might be a couple $100,000 a year, could be obviously way more depending on the corporation. But I'm trying to kind of be even keeled with like the price range. The third one was the MB&F Legacy Machine Perpetual. I chose the Evo Titanium Green.
That's a good pick.
I personally love it. The blue is awesome, but I love the green. And with that watch, you have the innovative design.
Yeah.
So innovation is such a big part in being a CTO. This watch fits that. It's lightweight. It's durable. It's a limited edition, which is a sign of exclusivity and prestige. Obviously, it could also be a good investment. That makes sense. But for a CTO that wants to, project an image of innovation, of technical excellence, like this watch is it.
Yeah, it's got everything, right? It's quirky, it's cool, it's innovative. It's just a crazy, absolutely freakish design. It's a one-of-a-kind perpetual calendar system. And I mean, I don't think there's a more apt choice, to be honest.
It's also obviously really high up there as far as price.
Yeah.
But I've spoken about this, I don't remember, a couple episodes ago, where I was recently considering buying a watch, and I spoke to my wife about it, and I said, hey, I want to buy this watch. She said, okay. She's like, you know what you're doing, obviously. Is this something that, you're ever going to lose money on? I said, no, I'm not going to lose money on it. So all I'm doing is taking money out of one bank account and I'm putting it into another bank account. And if 5 years from now I lose 10% of it, that's not a loss. I wore it for 5 years.
Yeah.
For 10% of the price.
Well, you know what they say, right? You only lose if you sell.
Correct.
So that's it. So
that's very true.
Just keep it.
Imagine this watch. You take, 6 figures out of your bank account and you put it into here. 5 years from now, will you be able to recoup that? Close, maybe more.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the whole independent market has exploded, right? It's something of recent, but I think people even still don't understand what we're experiencing right now. So in the last, I would say 20 years, we've seen this uptick in independent watchmakers. And what I feel is you saw this essentially in the late 17, early 1800s, where you saw, the likes of Breguet, Ferdinand Berthoud, and John Arnold, and all these incredible watchmakers start up their own brand essentially, right? And even, Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet. Those all started as like a mom and pop shop, like an independent brand is today. So we're going through what I feel is one of the most innovative time periods for watches since essentially the golden era of watchmaking. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think the future is very, very bright for independent
It'll be interesting 100, 200 years from now to see how those brands panned out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, think about you project into the future, right? The likes of a Patek Philippe, who will be maybe even dethrone the likes of a Patek Philippe. It's possible, right? It certainly is
very
possible.
Yeah. Think about an MB&F becoming on that same level as, FP Journe, like all these independents. They're still really high ranking watchmakers. Yeah. These are not like your mom and pop, like guys sitting in a garage making watches.
I mean, listen, people who think that it's not possible, think about it like this, right? The mobile, like let's say the invention of the iPhone changed the phone industry dramatically. Everyone had a BlackBerry, right? Yep. That was the phone to have. Yep. I remember growing up, if you were cool, you had a BlackBerry, and then everyone went to an iPhone, right? So it's very possible for a king to get dethroned, even somebody like Patek Philippe. So, but I will say this. In the watch industry, their legacy is very, very important. So, yeah, these independent brands have a long way to go, but they've come a long way also in a very short period.
It is amazing. So that is, it's so funny that you mentioned it. Like, that is a great pick for that position. It could be a pick for any position, any person, but for that position.
CTO is so apt, yeah.
The next executive that I wanted to go after is the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer. This is a senior executive that's responsible for managing the financial operations of an organization. A great CFO should have a strong financial background, strategic thinking skills, leadership qualities, obviously, analytic abilities, and their whole vision is the success of the company. Like, from a financial standpoint, what are we doing to succeed, not to fail? So the 3 watches that I chose for them, now again, some of these might not be fitting, and you're going to have your opinion on it. First one I chose was the Rolex Datejust.
Really, a Datejust?
A Datejust, yes.
That's interesting. See, my number one pick, Avi, I would say would be a Rolex Daytona. It's a CFO.
I know, but
it just makes sense. It just makes sense for a CFO to have a Daytona.
Really functional. Like, who needs the chronograph?
You don't wear a watch to tell. You don't need a watch to tell the time. By the same token,
like,
right?
So with the CFO, I'm constantly I'm picturing. I don't want to say like a boring person, but I'm picturing more of like an accountant role.
Yeah, no, accountant and CFO is completely different. It's wildly different.
I'm just picturing somebody that's like analytical and like numbers.
Like, see, I disagree. I think analytical numbers, but I would also say like risk taker, somebody who's like not afraid to take on risk. Would you want like a CFO that's a risk taker in your company? Yeah, of course, absolutely. Think about it like this: if you have a CFO, right, who's just okay with status quo. I mean,
status quo, yeah.
I mean, I want him to take risks. I want him to push the boundaries.
I feel like the CEO is the risk taker. The CFO is the one that supports it with the numbers. Do you know what I mean? Like,
fair enough.
Like that's, and again, this is all personal. This is like personal opinion. There's no right or wrong here.
Yeah.
I chose it because of the timeless design. The watch is recognizable easily by everybody. It's precise. Like it's a Rolex, so it's precise. It's obviously durable. It's reliable, just like a CFO should be. It should be reliable. It is still a symbol of success. I mean, there are Datejust that, like, so for example, you have some Datejust with like unique dials. Obviously.
It goes down to recognizability, right? If you're going to get like a fluted bezel, Oyster or Jubilee bracelet, most people tend to know, okay, it's probably a Rolex if you're into watches, right? It's some kind of Rolex, and then Datejust is given away kind of more so by the Cyclops lens. Right away, you see that fluted bezel Cyclops lens. If it's like a Jubilee bracelet, it's instant, right?
I also thought that it has a relatively stable value, and that's kind of what I want from my CFO. I want somebody that's stable, somebody that, that won't mess around with my money, like that won't do something scary.
No, that's fair. Yeah, it's for the same reasons I'd actually pick a Daytona. Exactly,
which is what my second one is.
Okay.
So my second one is a Daytona for less of that, functionality, more for the investment value.
Okay, I like that. I like for CFO. I think it's somebody who's very fast paced, very quick. So I like another chronograph. I would take an Omega Speedmaster. I think an Omega Speedmaster makes a lot of sense. It's timeless. It's versatile. It's easy to wear. You can dress it up or down. Wear it with a suit. Wear it with in a board meeting. It has really interesting history. And I think a Speedmaster is apt also for the CFO position.
You're right. I chose the Daytona because obviously the investment value, but also it is a very clear symbol of success.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that, it's probably the most, iconic symbol of success. If you're wearing a Daytona, people know, what you have on. Everything else, it's a status symbol. It's got precision timekeeping, it's durable and all that good stuff. But less for the functionality, or more for the look, the prestige, and the fact that as a CFO, you want to make, sound financial investments and decisions, and this is one of them. The next one might, be a little bit outside of the box. This is the Lang & Son Datograph Perpetual Tourbillon.
Damn.
Yeah,
okay.
I went ham.
Yeah, that's a crazy last pick.
I went for this one. It is a statement piece. Yeah. So it's got exceptional craftsmanship. I mean, this watch is, the attention to detail in there has to be appreciated by any CFO who values precision, that values quality of work and attention to detail. So like this is a clear symbol of success in whatever it is you're doing. Now, again, whether you're CEO, CTO, CFO, you've made it.
Yeah.
You're wearing this watch. It is a unique design. It's definitely got an investment value that is, if not stable, or at least if not appreciating, it is stable. It is worth noting that this is a very expensive, piece for the CFO.
Yeah, I mean, the first two pieces we've kind of been going up gradually in terms of price. So Datejust, you start with Datejust Daytona. It makes sense, right? Obviously, listen, there's going to be different watches for different kind of price ranges and what have you. I think it's a good pick. I think we just have different views of what a CFO is. I just don't see that.
Yeah, everybody has their own picture.
Yeah, I don't see that as a CFO. To me, I'm going to pick another one. Third one, I'm going to pick a chronograph. I think it just makes sense for the CFO position. I would go with a 5980 in steel with a blue dial. Nice. I think a Patek Philippe Nautilus 5980, again, it's recognizable. It commands respect. Yes. It's got that wow factor about it. Blue Dial is very versatile, obviously. It's the first actual Nautilus chronograph that they made, the first in-house chronograph movement that they also made. So there's a lot of interesting parts about it. I think it makes sense for the position. CFO would pick a 5980
See, I just
and
like
seal.
my whole thought about it was like, okay, I don't want the CFO stealing the limelight away from the CEO. And with a Nautilus on, doesn't matter which one, it's gonna.
But when
do
you
that.
think about it, right? Like I think of a CFO, he has to be ambitious, he has to be hungry. He's going after that CEO position, right? Because you think about who takes over for a CEO. Usually it's what, chief of operations or chief financial officer is the next. So yeah, they're going to be hungry, and I think it makes sense.
Okay. Any other watch for any one of the positions that we spoke about that you think would be fitting just off the top of your head?
No, I mean, I think the picks are solid. I like the picks. I'd love to do this for like other positions. Like
We will.
COO,
I'm going to do it also for COO, CMO.
Yeah.
You know what I'd like to
What
throw in
watch
there?
would Avi want for himself? Yeah.
I wear a Batman, but I want to do that position that's been recently like laid off everywhere, the chief people officer. Like maybe the Joker watch would be good for that one.
I think they need like a Timex, you know what I mean? Like something that doesn't Timex or Swatch, something that's pretty.
Yeah, we'll do COO, CMO. What else is there?
Yeah, like a entry level associate or something like that, like somebody just starting in the work.
I want to do it for like Wall Street, for example, like an analyst, a senior broker, like, a partner, one of those. So maybe we can actually do it by industry. That could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, Marco, thank you so much for providing your insight on this topic. I'm happy to know that I wasn't completely off course with my picks. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this, please let us know if you like this episode. Let us know what we're doing right, what we're not doing right, what you want more of. If you're listening to this, I hope that this came through in audio as well as it does in video. If not, go to YouTube, click the subscribe button, and watch the videos. Other than that, I think we're good for the day. So have a great day. We'll see you guys next time. Marco, see you later.